What's up, everyone? This is Eli the Mighty Son, aka Hero Vincent, and I'm here on Rebel Health Worldwide to do a reaction video to one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Cornel West. Now, last year he did a lecture, a philosophy lecture at the New School, and I thought this was a very pertinent lecture to some of the things that we're dealing with today when it comes to principles, having courage, and doing the right thing, because we have a lot of things that are convincing us to sit back, relax, and enjoy the nightmare. And so I wanted to do this video along with a collection of other videos coming in the future so that we can have a real discussion, you and I and the rest of the community, about some of the tactics, some of the things that is going on around us and what we can do about it. So without talking too much, Dr. Cornel West is one of my favorite people because when I was younger, about 10 years ago, when I had started on my activist journey, I got to march with this man, and I got to learn a lot from him. He took the time out of his life where I thought he was, larger than life, to instill some wisdom and knowledge in me. And I thought I was unworthy of it, but I was very appreciative of it. And so since that day, I've always had felt a responsibility and a duty to kind of live the life that he expected from the people around him, whoever else he spoke to, like he spoke to me. And so because of that, here we are today, about 10 years later, talking about some of these things that he has put out into the world. So let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Cornel West.
And there's no way that we will ever be equipped to deal with our present circumstances, the effects and consequences of the various structures of domination and exploitation, the ways in which the market has so thoroughly colonized our minds and hearts and souls that it's hard to even conceive of being agents collectively organized or even individual in our relationships.
Now, this right here is real. It sounds nihilistic. We're gonna put that out there. It does. It sounds kind of like it's condemning everybody to this certain way of life. But listening to a lot of his lectures, a lot of the things that the doctor has said, and following him, Dr. Cornell likes to hit hard. And also, it's important to note that this is the end of the lecture. It's not necessarily the beginning. There's a whole hour. I encourage you to go and watch the whole entire thing because it's very good. But this right here, I really believe that what he's doing is he's setting you up to feel the motivation to go and do better than what everyone else thinks that you're only capable of. And you'll notice that when he speaks later on into the rest of this clip. But right now, it just sounds like he's being very nihilistic. Like there's no hope. Basically, it's so deeply ingrained in our anatomy, in our brain, in our culture, and everything that we are doing to be lazy, to be brainwashed, to be uh, uh, just compelled to be principleless, without principle. I'm sure there's a word for that that's not coming to the top of my mind. But for all of that is going on around us, we have so many tools and so many devices that are there to hold us back and to distract us, that is very difficult. It's a very difficult endeavor to rid ourselves of these tools of distraction and destruction. And so unless we take a real hard look and have a real conversation with our peers and with our community about these things that are there to control us, then it's going to be hard to do it on our own. So,
Because intimacy and vulnerability have been so thoroughly called into question. That's one of the reasons why we're experiencing a moment of not just polarization. Again, that's just deodorized talk. America's not polarized. America's polarized and gangsterized. And gangsterization is different than polarization. It cuts much deeper. Gangsterization.
yeah, well, it's true. He's saying that there's a little, And don't get me wrong, pardon me if I'm for a random person on the internet to think that I have the ability to articulate something better than the doctor himself, straight out of the angel's mouth. But I say that I do come from a little bit of a different experience from Dr. Cornell. And because of that, the way of articulating things to people from my community is a little bit different than the way that he communicates to his. And so, even though I understand what he's saying, I feel like there are people in my community that would not. And so, when I say when he's saying this, he's meaning this. I just mean that in the humblest way possible. Um, he has already said it the most powerful way possible, but there are other ways in order to interpret it or articulate it that would be helpful to other people in our community. Now, when we're analyzing what it means to be gangsterized rather than polarized, polarized is really just that distraction. Polarized is really like um, here are all the things in our social life that are controversial, that make distract us from making real efforts and having real conversation. But those things are not just there, they're not just existing, they're deliberate actions by a tribe of people that want to control us, that want, and I don't mean that I do mean that conspiratorially. I'm not a conspiracy theorist because as we found out, all these conspiracies have been true, and I've been on them for years. But it's there to make us sound crazy. Even the term conspiracy theorist is a term that has been utilized in order to distract us from what really people were out here doing, raping our kids and children, our women and children, and stealing them and throwing our men in prison and sending them to war and killing us off in the streets and sending us to all these places that just stupefy us. They stupefy us and they commit us to this life of slavery, this life of less meaninglessness. And if we are not able to have courage, if we are not able to stand up for the principles, if we are not able to stand up for what is right, then we are slaves to these gangsters who utilize these tools and the innate human behaviors and the hacked human behaviors for them to thrive and for us to remain oppressed. So that's what Cornell means to be gangsterized.
Gangsterization is about the enactment of wholesale nihilism, which is not simply epistemic skepticism or ontological skepticism. It is lovelessness. It is touchlessness. It is meaninglessness. It is what Dostoevsky called hell in Brothers Karamazov, which is wrestling with the incapacity to love because the gifts that what has been given have not been cultivated in such a way that you even know how to love anymore.
The gifts that have been given have not been cultivated in a way that you don't even know how to love anymore. What a powerful statement. What a deep insight into the trajectory of the lack of education, the lack of moral foundation, the lack of insulation into our hearts to cover us and protect us when we are vulnerable. We have, see, what is the number one thing that happens within relationships that men talk about when it happens to women? When we're in relationships with women. And that is when we're vulnerable. Women always ask us to be vulnerable, but when we're vulnerable, they use it against us. That's because they've taken the man out of the situation, the father, to teach the woman how to be nourishing to the vulnerability. And so if the woman is not nourishing to the vulnerability of the man, then she's only utilizing that to destroy him and to have power over him because she feels like with the man, because she's never had a father in a relationship, what the man is trying to do is just have power over her because the polarized media has taught her that when a man has authority in the relationship, the only thing he's trying to do is oppress her. When a father is there to teach the daughter that a good man is there to protect her And if she doesn't do the things that a man knows is out in the world, then she's becoming a liability to the household. So without that dynamic, if you destroy that dynamic and you take the man out of the household and you take the fathers away and you take the good men away and you throw the men in prison and you throw them in jail and you make them weak and you emasculate them, then there's no way to teach this foundation, these basic life principles. There's no way to give it to them. There's no way to cultivate these ideas and these principles. And so when it happens generation after generation, the relationship between man and woman becomes so separated and so lost that there's nobody there to really cultivate this relationship and cultivate these understandings and principles. So, Doc, putting it together.
So even the discourse of love and justice, and any justice that's only justice, soon degenerates into something less than justice. If all you got to offer is just justice, and you're not doing it because you really love and have a caring concern about the people catching hell, it's just a lifestyle choice. It's not a fundamental way of being in the world. Even when we have contested conceptions of what justice is, that's how dim and grim our situation is. And we were talking in class about that line of Immanuel Kant, the Critique of Pure Reason, where he says examples are the go-kart of judgment. That you have to have.
I wanna just tell a little story about an ex. About not just an ex, but a few people that I know. It's mainly about the nonprofit industrial complex. And it seems like it's so far away from what we're talking about here, but it isn't. The nonprofit industrial complex, as a person that has worked outside and inside of it, I have seen and I've noticed a a type of person that that continuously sprouts up in these environments. And this type of person is a person that loves to smile, loves to do good, but hasn't necessarily experienced the depth of the pain that people actually feel. They want to help the pain, but they haven't felt it. So they don't really do the research in order to alleviate that pain. They can't empathize with the pain. They just want to cover it up so that people can't feel the pain. And so when that happens, when you have a whole collection of people in a space that's there to try to alleviate a problem and not really eradicate it, because without identifying that the problem shouldn't exist in the first place, then you're not really doing anything to help it. If you can't point out that this problem is immoral, like this homelessness, if we go across seas to poorer countries and we see that there's no homelessness there, we're saying to ourselves, how is that possible? Is we can go to poorer countries and we see there's no homelessness. Why are we in the richest country of the best country in the world and we have such high level of homelessness? Why do we have so much money, billions of dollars going into these social programs to alleviate homelessness, but yet homelessness continues to grow? Why is poverty continuing to grow? Why is the education system continuing to fail? Why are kids dropping out of school at such high rates? Why is the prison industrial the prison industry continuing to grow? Why are these things happening when we have so many nonprofits getting money in order to alleviate these problems? And the situation is very particular, because you have these particular types of people who end up in these leadership spaces. And these are people that are hurt, but don't know how to stop the pain for other people. And so it becomes a cycle that continues over and over, that repeats itself over and over again. And we remain in these situations because hurt people hurt people. We're not we're not we're not working from the root. We're not working from the principle. hurt people, but healed people heal people. And if we can create systems of healing, as we see in our healthcare system, it's not about healing, it's about keeping you sick. And once you're aware of this, you kind of breaks your heart. It makes you hurt. And so if you don't actually do the work to heal yourself in order to find real solutions and to give it to other people to heal other people, then we're just repeating the same cycle over and over again. And we're not receiving any real justice. That's why so many people feel like they have not got justice from the things that they have witnessed, bear witness to, have experienced within our prison industry, our healthcare industry, our nonprofit industry. All these spaces continue to repeat when it seems like the answer is so simple.
Concrete exemplars. And I'm not talking about abstract market-driven role models. So-and-so's my role model. Oh, please, spare me.
LeBron.
Probably just talking about some market success. You just want some big move in your career. We're not talking about career today. We're talking about your calling. The way you use your career for your calling.
And see, there you go. And so there's a lot of these nonprofit people who don't feel like they have a calling, they just have a career. And so their career is more important than their calling. And when your career is more important than your calling, you're going to lean toward the thing that's going to improve your career rather than help the people who are suffering. It's what people do all the time. Survive.
But you can't have a calling without a recalling, a relation to the voices, the figures, the exemplars who have come before, who shape us and mold us. And if there's going to be any kind of serious philosophy, love of wisdom in a moment of imperial decay, countervailing truth-telling against the present status quo, countervailing organizing against the status quo, countervailing arguments, countervailing stories, countervailing analysis, counter-hegemonic ways of being in the world. It has everything to do with basic things like trying to get us to see the world more clearly, comprehensively, with a subtlety and sense of complexity that is inseparable from feeling deeply and shattering callousness and indifference, so that we actually can have genuine care and solidarity. And last but not least, most importantly, being willing to act.
Wow, and there you go. The doctor preaching to us. He's speaking to us. I hope it resonates deep and sincerely. I mean, we are here. This is a time of transition like no other. We have an opportunity like no other to stand up for what is right, to put our voices toward what is right, to organize for what is right and what is just. And if we just want to sit at home and hope somebody else is going to stand up and do it, then we're going to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And our children are the ones that are going to suffer from it, as we have, you know. So, Dr. Cornel West, I hope his words resonated with you. I hope I added something to it that was positive um, and uplifting. So here we are. There's going to be more to come. Let's talk together, y'all. Let's chat. Let's elevate together. Blessings. This is Rebel Health Worldwide. Eli, the Mighty One, aka Hero Vincent. At my Instagram at the underscore rebel underscore Vincent, or rebel at rebel underscore work 8. So hopefully we can come together, y'all, and have real deep conversations about what we're going to do to change this environment, to change this society. Because it only takes a few of us. It doesn't take all of us. So blessings, y'all. Peace.